And we are live. Hello and welcome, Australia. Now, I hope that everything is okay because I'm having technical difficulties on my end with Facebook, live stream, internet. I'm not technological, so uh, hopefully we can get through this, but there might be a bit of lagging. Anyway, my name is Ange, and we are coming from the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, Australia. Just a brief rundown. I am 43 years old, and on December the 31st of this year, I will be 5 years clean from a dirty, destructive ice addiction. I moved from Brisbane with my family to the Sunshine Coast so we could start with new beginnings. So today we have the amazing Mel. So it's called Meltdown, Exploring the Menace of Meth with Mel. And again, my apologies if I am lagging. I am having some techno issues, which is just what I need for my anxiety. This is my first time hosting, so please bear with me. I've had bad anxiety. We have all had lived experience here at the Australian Anti-Ice Campaign. So we are all doing our best to show you that recovery is possible. There is hope. With faith and belief, you can get there. So a few bit of housekeeping and numbers I would like to give out, as well as an update that this Saturday is the national, I'm just going to read this, the National Walk Against Ice, Walk Where You Are, this Saturday, which is the November the 18th. The Gold Coast in Queensland and also Bundaberg are having a great base set up, but you can also walk anywhere in Australia. You can live stream in, and hopefully your computer or Wi-Fi doesn't lag like mine is. The couple of links we will attach to the comments in the section, and also, thanks for joining us. So, as I said, don't forget Walk Against Ice, the National Walk Against Ice, Walk Where You Are is on the Saturday the 18th. You can register for only $10. And also we have a couple of other options if you're not into walking. You can also do a $10 donation, which will be greatly appreciated, as everyone at the AAIC is volunteers. We are a volunteer charity base, so donations are welcomed, loved, accepted, needed. So please, also there will be a GoFundMe page if you'd like to contribute to help us help others. So hopefully this is going okay. Again, if you or someone you know that is struggling with an ice addiction, please make the choice for change. You know when you're ready, and if you are, please call 1-800 say no to ice. No, it's not. It's 1-800 no to ice. 1-800 NOTOICE. So I'm just going to hold the line for 1 minute because I think my lagging is not that great. So we will just see. Just give me a second. Okay, and also if you or someone you loved is wanting, you are needing support, because remember, addiction doesn't just affect the person. Addiction has a ripple effect, so it really affects everyone. It's heartbreaking, it's devastating, it's a really sad, destructive disease. We do have a number for the care team, which is available, and it is 0481 844 555. That's 0481 8. The Gold Coast is where the head office is for AAIC, but we can help anyone in Australia. We have resources, tools, connections, and educators. So please call that number. Also, you can jump online to www.australianantiicecampaign.org.au, and that is a wealth of resources, connections, knowledge, and also tools. We're here to help you. So further ado, I just also, if you have any questions, guys, please pop them in the comments. Mel will try and answer them on this live. If not, she will jump on board in the next, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, reply. But yeah, so we are really here once a month to share our recovery story, our journey, to let you guys know that recovery is possible. So with further ado, we have Meltdown, exploring the menace of meth with Mel. Hey Mel, how are you?
Hello, Ange. How are you? I'm good, thank you.
Good. Now, it's lagging a little bit, so I hope it doesn't look too chaotic. We'll try and piece this together. My apologies. So, Mel, do you mind letting people know how we met or when we met?
Yeah, so Ange and I met a couple of years ago in TAFE, Queensland, at Mooloolaba campus. We were both studying a cert for mental health lived experience certificate. Unfortunately, I didn't complete my certificate due to my mental health, but Ange completed her certificate, and we have stayed in touch ever since. She's my spiritual friend. So we connect a lot of things through spiritual life.
We've surrendered to the high power. We've surrendered that we need guidance, because we could not do it. But when we first met, Mal, our friendship has we haven't really connected outside socially a lot. It's more Facebook Messenger, and sometimes I would trigger you, you would trigger me, but we've had this connection, this bond we don't understand. So I've never actually listened to your story. So I'm really appreciative of you putting your hand up to come on tonight to share your story of hope and recovery. So are you able to let me know where it all began? So I know it's probably a big story. So how was your childhood? Can we start there?
Childhood was great. Like, it's really funny because I'll talk more into this stream about my mental health, because obviously of a diagnosis that I got during active addiction. But like my childhood, I grew up in a country town in Stanthorpe. We moved to the Sunshine Coast when I was 9. None of my family did drugs.
Where is Stanthorpe?
It was not known to us. It's just past Warwick, half an hour from Warwick, and it's right near the Queensland-New South Wales border.
Very nice.
Yeah. So we moved. We moved up here when
I was still together.
Yes. Yep, still together. I live with my parents.
Okay, so
at the moment.
So you were 9. So would you say so you've obviously had a good role models from your parents? Like some people with addiction have the stigma that your parents were users, or there was separation, and I think it's good to let others know that it doesn't discriminate. Addiction does not discriminate.
No, none of my parents never did drugs, have never tried drugs. It was my own thing that I knew that I was different when I was growing up, especially in my teens and my 20s. And it, like in 2019, I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, which I didn't know I had up until about 4 or 5 years ago now. And yeah, like I actually was anti-drugs up until the age of 28. I absolutely did not condone drugs in my life. Like I used to hang out with people that did drugs and alcohol and all that sort of stuff. But me, I was like, no, I don't like drugs. I'm so anti-drugs. Like I'm never going to touch them in my life. And then it came to the age 28 in 2013, and that's when I met it. And that was it. It sort of started with one drug, and then it just turned into that I got addicted to ice.
So, okay, so I'm just going to get this. So you're now 38. So this is about 10 years ago, was it? Or?
Yeah, I'm 38. Yeah.
Okay. And so you kind of raised, I suppose not born here, raised in Sunshine Coast, Queensland. How did you find high school? high school? Like,
I hate it. Oh,
because I
hated
myself
high
was
school.
really.
Yeah, hated high school. I was obviously I've got a different last name to a lot of people that I went to school with. I got bullied majority of grade 8 to, well, not majority, the whole of grade 8 to grade 12. I knew, like I said, I knew that I was different. I knew there was something different about me to other people. Like I knew there was something different between me and my friends and like the people that I associated with, like not just from high school, but like my early adulthood. Obviously, now that I've got an understanding of what I've been diagnosed with, I have more of an understanding that I am built differently to other people. So my drug taking and getting addicted to ice was my way of fitting in with the crowd and people going, oh, she's cool. Like, let's all hang out with her. And yeah, that's kind of something that I developed understanding in the last probably 6 to 12 months of my recovery. That's what my borderline personality disorder made me do. Like it's called borderline personality disorder, and one of the traits of borderline is addictive personality. So we get addicted to everything that goes on around us. So at the time, the people that I was hanging out with, we all used to drink, we used to all take drugs and go to parties and do all that sort of stuff and go out clubbing all the time. And yeah, that was part of my way of fitting in with the crowd.
And you said you were 28, were you, when you first started using?
I remember the day. It was not ice. I didn't use ice the first time. It was MDMA, and it was Australia Day, January 2013. And I got introduced to ice probably, like I knew about it. I never tried it, maybe probably like 2016, 2017. And then it was a solid 2 and a bit, 3 years that I just couldn't stop. That I just loved it. I loved it. It started as a weekend thing and then just ended up being an everyday reliant coping mechanism.
Did you work in this period? Like, what was your day-to-day, like your week to week looking like? Were you living with your parents? Were you out of home? What was the situation?
So 2013 to 2014, I was single, and then I met my ex-partner. We were together for, I try to forget about it, but 6 and a bit years, I think we were. He was into drugs as well. And it just started as every weekend we were together, we partied. And then that's how I got introduced to ice. It was just people that I knew and people that were around us and people that I knew and people that he knew. And like I still know people that have got the addiction and do use it still, but I don't really talk to them anymore. But everyone talks still on the Sunshine Coast. It's very, very a big topic. Ice is a really huge topic of conversation with a lot of people, and a lot of people I know are still using and affected by it. I just chose to go down the other path, and life has changed dramatically because my friend circle is very small. I've had to cut out a lot of people. I've had to block a lot of people. I'm a bit of a hermit now. I stay home. Like I don't really go out of my way to go out clubbing or partying anymore. But yeah, for me, it was
So
to
when you
fit
were
in, to help the anxiety.
sorry.
Oh, you're right. It was a coping mechanism with my ex relationship as well.
Okay. Because you guys would have used together as well. So, I mean, when you're together and you're using, there's nothing positive about it, is it? It's a recipe
Absolutely
for disaster,
not.
really.
Definitely was.
So in that time, like in your addiction use, what did your parents and family say? What were they trying to help you? Were you distancing yourself from them? Like, what was the situation with them?
So my family, my parents especially, they did not know that I was using drugs for those amount of time of years. It wasn't until
Oh
I
wow.
think the 1st of September 2019, this was my turning point. So I went all those years without telling my close friends and my family that I was using drugs.
So
Yeah, so it wasn't until
for
1st of
how long?
September 2019 before I went to rehab. I tried, well, I
Wow.
technically tried drugs from 2013 till uh, my last confession for ice was the 30th of August 2019. So I didn't tell my family until before entering rehab in 2019.
Wow, that's you, because I know just from your Facebook post and whatever, you are very close to your
I
family.
am very
So
close.
how did you hide it? Like, how did they not know? Did they just
Um,
think you
I
were
hid a lot
losing
of things.
weight? Like, because I've seen pictures of your. Okay, yeah. So for
Yeah.
people who are watching this live, or anyone who watches this in the future, what is your message for someone watching this who hasn't had ice and has been offered ice, or also youth and
Oh my God.
schools, educators were trying to prevent, no, not even once. What would your words of wisdom be?
Just don't do it. The the effects from drug taking for such a long time. Like, I know I'm not a long-term user with ice like other people were. I used other drugs as well. Like, I had cocaine. I did a lot of ecstasy, MDMA. I did acid. I wasn't very much into weed, but it was ice was the one that I don't know. It kind of leveled, like it leveled me out a little bit. Um, and I think because I had the anxiety, it kind of just gave me that burst of like, yeah, it gave me a bit of a kick up the ass, and I was like, oh yeah, cool, this is fun. And yeah, I like living the time. I was having the time of my life, and the effects from it now, like being in recovery. Happy to say that I'm 4 years sober from my addiction. Um,
Congratulations,
so
well
the
done.
effects from it, like, so the effects that I've had, like, I've got short-term memory loss now, but that's also because I have PTSD as well. Um, like, I lost some of my teeth. I've had to get my teeth, like, I've now just had my teeth repaired. Um, I've obviously gained weight. That's been another
That
thing that I've noticed. Like, I've obviously gained weight, and it's something that I've had to adjust to. But if I was to give anyone advice, it's just
can I
not
go
worth it. It is really, really.
Can I get back to your teeth? Because yeah, I've had issues with my teeth. I wear partial dentures, and it's been something that haunts me every day. I saw your journey. What happened? Didn't you go in to get what happened with your, like, I saw it on Facebook. I was like,
So
what have they done
I,
to this poor woman? The pain you had to go through because of this.
yeah, the pain. Um, like, I've had a lot of physical surgeries in my life, and obviously I deal with emotional pain for the mental health side of things. But the worst pain I've ever endured in my life was having implantation surgery done in my teeth, and the top right, I had to have a bone graft done. So they had to take some bone from the back of my teeth where my wisdom teeth were to the front here where the tooth had to be replaced, and it was the most excruciating pain I've ever had to live with. Like, within that week, that 2 weeks of having that surgery was just, I I I can't even I can't even describe it. Like, yeah. So I neglected my teeth because smoking ice was more important than going to the dentist and getting my teeth checked, getting that next hit and that next pump was the one that I wanted. So I didn't really care about my teeth. I didn't really give a crap about my appearance, and I really looked after my skin, my hair. I put fake dye in my hair all the time because I couldn't afford to go to a hairdresser. So yeah, the physical effects from being on ice was major.
Yeah, because you've also had more work done with your mouth, haven't you? I know there was that one hurdle.
Yeah,
and have you had more
I
work done since?
yeah,
Because of
so
ice?
yes. So I had the teeth implantation surgery done in March. So I had 3 teeth that I had to have removed over the years because they were dead teeth. And then I had temporary screws in my teeth for 6 to 7 months, and about probably 4 or 5 weeks ago, I'm going now, I can't remember, I've had the teeth just basically replaced. Yeah. It was very
And
painful
you
process.
don't have to give me a
What's that,
ballpark
sorry?
figure, but was it expensive? So you don't have to give me an
It was
exact
very
amount, but I'm
expensive.
guessing it was very expensive. Yeah.
Very expensive.
So
But I had
not
a
worth the pain
complex
or
about
money?
absolutely not. No. No, I never wished upon,
Okay.
even as much as I hate certain people, I wouldn't have wished upon my worst enemy to go through that type of surgery that I went through, because it was, yeah, very, like, this is your teeth, like, this is the very soft area, that's very, I just, yeah, no, it's not worth it. Like, I tell people, look after your teeth, don't take drugs. Like, drugs is not the be all of end all. Like, smoking ice, taking drugs, snorting cocaine every weekend, there is more to life than drugs. Definitely.
100%. 100%. Now, I just want to mention as well, those who are watching this either now live or in the next few days, 1-800-NO2-ICE. If you are ready to make that change and you're done. You're done with the heartache. Yes, not even once. You're done with the heartache. You're done with the destruction. You're done being lonely, and you're living in a hell. There's nothing but darkness. If you're wanting to surrender and put your hands up and say, I'm over it. You deserve to live a life. You deserve happiness. You deserve to be loved. And you will not find this in addiction. But I can guarantee you, recovery is possible. I'm 43. Beautiful Mel, I'm sure won't mind me saying she's 38. So 4 years for you,
38.
Mel, and I'm nearly 5 years. So again, the stigma to addiction, I just get really frustrated because I found it hard to reach out and ask for help because I didn't look like a drug addict, if that makes sense. Did you, what were people's comments when they found out you were using because you had hidden it for so long?
A lot of, a lot of, my parents were in shock. My mother, she had an idea there was something more going on. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I was in a domestic violent relationship as well, which there was only one person who knew that I was in that type of relationship at the time of active using. And my mum sort of had a bit of an idea, but she never really said anything. And it wasn't until, like, I call it my last confession, which was the 30th of August 2019. That was the last time that I woke up in the morning and I had the last time with it, and I couldn't get any more. And yeah, I went on a very downward spiral in a proximity of 48 hours. It was pretty crazy, and that's when I surrendered, basically, and said, I can't do this anymore. I need to get help. And yeah, I'm happy to talk about that process as well, like what happened to my turning point.
Yes, please.
Was
What made
that
you go, I'm
weekend
done?
getting taken to Nambour in an ambulance when I was left in a house on my own, coming down from the drug, and got taken to Nambour, and I was laying on my side at the time. I was in emergency, and then there was doctors and nurses trying to help me because I was crying, and I was in a episode, like I was coming down, as well as having a massive episode because my ex and I at the time had a massive fight, and it just ended. It was just a horrible situation. And I remember moving myself to get comfortable in the bed, and I saw security guards in the hospital in emergency. 2 were at my bed and 2 were standing up against the wall. This is Nambour emergency, and my words to the nurse was, "Why are there security guards at my bed?" And she said, "It's not just for your safety, but it's for ours." And I went, "I'm not this person. This is not me." And that was it. That was my turning point. Yeah,
So
that
can
was
I
my
ask
turning
you a
point.
personal question? Like, I know it's a very
It just cut out
rehab
then.
when
What
I
was that?
first went. Okay. Can I ask you a personal question?
Sure. Yep.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
So have you been committed to a psych ward because of drug-induced psychosis?
So I tried to go in. I went in 3 times. The third time was the third time that I tried to get clean. The first time I went in would have been end of December, beginning of January 2019 to try and get off the drug. And then I came out and kept using because I was still in that that toxic relationship patterns. And then I went in May, and I did like a 7-day stint. I think it was 7 or 8 days. And I was like, I don't need to be in here. I'm not sick. I'm not mentally unwell. I don't have an issue. So that was May 2019. And then, that weekend of the 30th, 1st, and the 1st of September 2019, and I entered rehab on the 4th of September. I went to Corinda Mental Health, which is a private mental health facility. So they help with addiction, as well as eating disorders and other mental health and PTSD and stuff like that. And when I first went in, I was like, "Oh, I've got this. I've done this before. This isn't my first, it's not my first time doing this." And I went in with this stupid behavior in my head. And then I think it was by day 6, day 7 of detox, I crashed, and that was hell. Yeah, that was hell. And I will add, I was misdiagnosed with I was misdiagnosed with ADHD, adult ADHD as well. So what was that? Sorry?
You're just lagging a bit. Sorry, you're just lagging a bit. Sorry. So you said you were misdiagnosed with adult ADHD?
Right. Yep. So I originally got diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, adult ADHD, and anxiety. And for about 2 years, I was medicated with dexamphetamine. So basically, my old psychiatrist fed my addiction for another 2 years. And then I ended up changing psychiatrists just a couple of years ago. And I had to detox off the dexamphetamine. So I had to go through, not as a horrendous process, but another process of detoxing from medication. And ever since I've been off the dexamphetamine, I've been a lot better in my head. I knew I didn't have ADHD. I knew that I was, yeah. So that was fun.
So, yeah, I actually think I met you when you were in the midst of that.
Yes. When
Maybe.
did we do TAFE? 2021? Yes. That was part of the reason
like,
why I stopped TAFE. Yeah, that's part of the reason why
I was actually having a chat with someone today. She said that, so what was that last bit?
I said that was part of the reason why I sort of ceased the course, because I was going through medication issues and
Okay.
changes throughout to
Yeah.
2021.
Yeah. So I was having a chat with someone today, and I think she said her psychiatrist went over to the UK, or vice versa, and she said that 80% of people at this clinic she was at, don't quote me, but were using ice as a coping mechanism for ADHD. 80%, and they had to start this program where they would wean them off, over periods. So yeah, mental health and addiction kind of go hand in hand. Like, how do you feel it's the addiction using ice has affected your mental health? Like, you've mentioned your diagnoses, but are you able
Yeah.
to go into that a bit more?
Oh, my God, how do I answer that? It's been a long 4 years. um,
Yeah.
when I got diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, I had no idea. I had no idea what I was facing, dealing with, living with. Once I did I did a lot of research about borderline BP. I won't say borderline, BPD, and once I started my research, like I just started. This is a lot of it. A lot of it was when I was in hospital, in and out of psych care, and I would Google, and I just asked Google all these questions. And once I understood the concept of BPD and living with BPD, I understood where the addiction came into play. Because, like I mentioned earlier, we do have addictive personalities, so we feed off other people's like behaviors and words and reactions and stuff like that. Um, so understanding my disorder, and then understanding, like, a lot of therapy, understanding addiction, it made so much sense to me why I got addicted to ice more than anything. Like, yeah, it was just a coping mechanism for. It was just I just used it as a mask of what was really going on in my personal life at the time. And yeah, I look, if I didn't stop, I would have ended up dead or in jail. That's pretty much how my life was going to end up.
And it's not funny you mention it, but when I first went to rehab, I knew I had a problem. I felt I didn't fit in as such, because the media portrayed, this type of, if you're a drug addict, this is what you look like, this is what you're doing. So I was still in denial. And when they told me you'll either end up in a psych ward, prison, or dead, I thought, yeah, okay, that's criminals, Little did I know, the
Yeah,
next stint, only a year later, I was nearly in all three. So it doesn't matter what age you are, who you are, what money you make, what education you've got. Once you pick up this disgusting, dirty drug, it's soul destroying. But yeah, you're so right. It's you can't escape those three endings in a
no.
way.
And I love the word. I love you talking about stigma, because there's so much stigma with mental health, and then if you have addiction behind you, there is so much stigma. And um, because I've got borderline personality disorder, the stigma we have is we're deemed crazy, like schizophrenic crazy.
Really?
And it's really hard when you talk about it with people, and they go, what's your mental health and what do you got? And you sort of say, I've got borderline personality disorder, is very similar to bipolar. And I used to smoke ice. I used to be a meth head, and they'd go, "Oh my God, like, oh, you're like," there is so much judgment and stigma. I still, like, even though I'm 4 years sober and I have completely cut that life out of my life for, for my own reasons and obviously for my family. But when you talk to people about your past, and that you live with mental health and you have a mental disability, like my disability is a permanent disability now, and when you say, oh yeah, and I used to smoke meth, you still get judgment. Even if you are in sobriety and in recovery, it's still a lot of judgment. Yeah.
And
And
this could
that's
be
something
like,
that I've had to accept and live with.
yeah. So you mentioned earlier uh, that you can go down, so you were using, you kept this a secret from your family. What did you lose in that meantime? Obviously, you became a DV relationship, which is terrible. Did you
Yeah.
lose work? Did you lose money? Like, I just want to paint this picture of, if you take this
Yeah,
drug, you lose.
I was in and out of different jobs all the time. Um, certain friends, I'm very fortunate and lucky that my high school best friend and I are still best friends to this day. But when she started noticing that I was going down that path, I had to take into consideration of our friendship. And it's really funny, like the people that I was really like, I wouldn't say friends with them, but I guess my associations, I'm no longer friends with those people. I don't talk to half of them anymore. It's quite wild that yeah, like it's quite wild. It's the friends that I've got still in my
Are you
life are
talking
the
about?
ones that have stood by me and have understood and respected what I've been through. Yeah. But I lost my
Also,
relationship with my brother, which we've been repairing.
yeah. So your brother, yeah, because you guys have a bit of a roller
Oh,
coaster,
it's
haven't
lagging.
you? So, oh,
Are you
okay,
there?
is it okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no, as I was saying, like when I was in active
Is it
addiction
okay?
as well, I
Sorry, guys.
yep, you've just come back on. As I was saying, in active
Okay.
addiction, like
Um,
I lost my relationship with my brother, which I've been repairing for the last couple of
yeah.
years. I have a very close relationship with my parents now. Like my parents are my rock. Like I would be lost without them.
Um, do you think, because it is, bless their heart, an older generation, like my parents were kind of like, just don't take them or just stop, and then one had to disown me in a way, and then because of heartbreak and different reasons, they have to turn their back on you at some point, because you just cause them so much despair and distress and sleepless nights. And it's a shock, because here's their daughter, their darling little girl, all of a sudden not who they visualized. But so did your parents, when they accepted this, did they look into, did they go to support groups? How did they help you?
They didn't go to support groups for the addiction side of things. They to understand my BPD side of my life, my mum found a book online, and they both read the book to understand the borderline personality disorder. And I guess it's been me having every night conversations and being open and honest with them about what drugs really do to people and how it works in our system. And I think and obviously social media and the news and stuff like that. But I actually had to educate my parents with regards to addiction and ice, because they had no idea. They had absolutely no idea. And yeah, like I've got a solid relationship with my family now. Like I can openly talk about things. I do have a toolbox thing that I've so when I came out of rehab, I for 6 months I allowed my parents for 6 months. So at any time that they thought that I had used ice or anything like that, I had to go get drug tested, and I had no choice. It was when they made the call, and I used to, like, if they ever thought that I was using again, I had to go get drug tested. And I never had to do that for 6 months coming out of rehab, so I'm really proud of that. And I guess they call it a toolbox technique or a toolbox tools that we use. If I ever feel, because it's very easy for me to think about ice and relapsing because of my personality disorder, and I had another thing in place that if I give my car keys to my parents, like, say, because my addiction, my cravings would start on a Friday, because that's usually when I used to do it a lot. It was a Friday, Saturday night. So if I felt a craving, or I felt like I was thinking about it or anything like that, I used to give the car keys to my parents, and I've only had to do that 3 times out of my 4-year sobriety. So I'm really happy with that as well.
That is amazing. And just for those family and friends who are looking for support, the number to call for family support and brief intervention is 0418 844 555. So if you guys or anyone you know that has someone in active addiction and you need support, please call 0418 844 555. And also, if you are thinking about recovery, you are in addiction, and you are watching this, recovery is possible. Please make that choice to make the change. The number is 1-800-NO-TO-ICE. That's 1-800-NO-TOICE. Also, the website www.australianantiicecampaign.org.au has a wealth of tools, resources, educational YouTube videos. We are here once a month to really share the story of hope and recovery of people who have been in active ice addiction. Also, we would like to remind you that this Saturday is the National Walk Against Ice, which you can register. We'll put in the link in comments. Gold Coast are having a big group, and also Bundaberg, but you can also do this anywhere in Australia. And we also have a GoFundMe page for any donations. We are doing a, what would you say, early Christmas delivery, because everyone at AAIC has lived experience. We see you, we hear you, we know the journey, but for us to keep on helping others, we need your support. So please pass on this link, like and share this video. It's all about the community and, how would you say it, Mel? Like the connections with other users in recovery, isn't it?
It's weird. Like I was talking about it actually with Mum and Dad last night. Like I never went to NA coming out of rehab or anything like that. I think I went to one NA group and I just went, that's just not for me, and it just didn't work for me. I was just so headstrong in my decision, and I made a promise to myself and to my parents more than anything. They have stood by me through probably the worst 4 years, 4, 5, 6 years. I don't know how long this has been going on for. 2018, it kind of just, life got pretty crazy. And I made a promise to myself, and I made a promise to them.
Because am I lagging or not? Because you are a little bit. I recall a conversation we had one time when I think you were just down and you were coming down, and you went to a gravesite and you were going to end it. So are you able to, is that too sensitive to talk about that, or?
No, that was, oh my God, that was during my stay in rehab, when I was at Corinda there, where I'm not going to explain too much, but Corinda is at the Budgeon Private Hospital, and there's a cemetery nearby. And I lost a friend back in 2005, and his headstone is there. And it was a very heated argument with my ex-partner on the phone whilst I was in Corinda and I was in hospital, and I think I had just reached, I think it was maybe 2 weeks after going in for rehab, and it was, yeah, it was. So I always say September's the worst month because it's all when everything happened, and he basically said, "Go do us all a favor, and go kill yourself." And sorry if this is a trigger to anybody saying that, but that was the words that I was used, and I did. I walked out of the hospital and I went to try and attempt suicide, and this was all during the process of still coming to terms with my addiction, my diagnosis of mental health, coming to terms that my ex-partner was domestic violence, and I was in that type of relationship, not
And
having
he
an
was
idea of
using
what I was
still?
doing. No. Was he?
Yeah.
He was, yes. Yeah.
Well, I'm
At
so
that time
glad
period, yes.
you're here and you're okay, and you're 4 years clean, and and I'm just
It's
really
been a
proud of you.
journey.
And I think it was with like, how would I say? I just know, because as you know, I work in mental health as a peer support worker now, uh, and I have worked with people who are still using or who have come out the other side, and mental health is massive with ice addiction. A lot of people who have had ADHD found they could cope. It was just what's it called, high functioning, and it's been a secret for so many years, like 20, 30 years. I feel like I was hiding for a long time. Like, I was only 27 when I first had ice, and I had no idea ice existed. So, it's just say no. So it's not even once. Say no to ice. I remember growing up, and the message was back then was heroin. Say no. Once you try it once, you'll be hooked forever. And even when I was in my active ice addiction, I was offered that many times, and I still remembered, say no, because if you try it once, you will be addicted. So, and it's strange because I thought I was, I was still using drugs, but that message got through. So we have to teach this generation and next generation that not even once, it is not worth it. It is causing nothing but destruction, pain, and
Yeah.
sorrow. And do you have any messages, Mel, you'd like to tell
Look,
school leavers or people out about thinking about?
look, I remember when I was in high school, we had, before I graduated, we had some people come and talk to us about drink driving and drug driving, and they made us watch a video, and that video was so horrific that a lot of us couldn't watch it. We had to walk out. And I wish that, I guess maybe this is a goal for future goal for myself, but I'd love to go around advocating at schools and speak to these kids and go, it's fun at the time, but it's not fun when it gets into active, and then when it keeps going. Like, it is just not a fun time. I am eventually going to be jumping on board with the Australian Anti-Ice campaign probably next year to try and help advocate as well. I do advocate openly on my TikTok, talking about mental health and addiction and borderline personality disorder. But I do want to, I just want people to realize that it is just not worth it. Like, the amount of people I hurt being active addiction, and my family was just, it's a real shame to see how bad our society is getting, not just with ice but with drugs in general, because I know ketamine's quite an accessible drug at the moment, as well as cocaine, and it's really unfortunate to see that so many people are relying on drugs to have a good time. Like, I've gone to concerts and festivals completely sober. I just went to see 360 on Friday night. I did a meet and greet, and I met him in sobriety, and I stayed for the whole concert and got a signature and met him. And like, if there is more fun with life than having drugs. And I mean, I don't drink alcohol either. I haven't drank for a good majority, fair while now. And that was the other thing I was going to mention too. I am on, not did I only have the addiction with illegal drugs, it was also prescription drugs. So I used to take sleeping sedatives to sleep when I was in a binge of ice. And one of the things that I implemented into my recovery was I have to have tablets at night to help me go to sleep. So I see my GP every week, and she actually counts my medication to make sure that I'm not overusing my medication. And it's something that I knew that I used to do in my past life, something that I learned in hospital, in psych care, and it's just something that I'm adamant about now. So yeah, it's I guess it's all a learning curve and making decisions and sticking to boundaries. Boundary setting's a really big thing as well that has helped my recovery.
With being a buddy for Australian, for AAIC, they have something called the tripod system. So there's a lot of training that goes on behind the scenes. But tripod is with, NA meetings, a community, that you are a part of and see regularly, and also, a drug and alcohol counselor or a psychologist. So they believe that those three, which are proven to work in this, how would you say, formula as such, has really kept on, the positive recovery. But it's everyone to, themselves. Now, I just wanted to, I think I mentioned to you, for if there are any youth watching this, I found this poem, and I think I mentioned it to you before, Mel. I really wanted to read this because it is a bit shocking, but it's the truth. So it was written by a young, it says here, 2006, a young Indian girl. She wrote this, and she wrote this when she was in jail for drug charges. So it's my name is Meth. I destroy homes. I tear families apart. Take children, and that's just the start. I'm more costly than diamonds, more precious than gold. The sorrow I bring is a sight to behold. If you need me, remember, I'm easily found. I live around you in schools and in town. I live with the rich. I live with the poor. I live down the street and maybe next door. I'm made in a lab, but not like you think. I can be made under the kitchen sink, in your child's closet, and even in the woods. If this scares you to death, well, it certainly should. I've many names, but there's one you know best. I'm sure you have heard of me. My name is Crystal Meth. You'll regret that you tried me. They always do. But it was you that came to me, not I to you. You knew this would happen many times, you were told, but you challenged my power and chose to be bold. You could have said no and just walked away. If you could live that day over, now what would you say? I'll be your master, you will be my slave. I'll even go with when you go to your grave. Now that you have met me, what will you do? Will you try me or not? It's all up to you. I can bring you more misery than words can tell. Come take my hand and let me lead you to hell. Now that gave me goosebumps when I read that, because again, it was by a young girl who was in jail for drug charges, and after she was released, she was later found dead with a needle in her arm from a meth overdose. So this is for the youth, guys. It is dangerous. Do not touch it. Not even once. If you're an adult, just any age, it does not discriminate. Addiction is really sad, but at AAIC, we are here to help. If you or someone you know, please call 1-800-NO-TO-ICE. We'll have different links for different connections. Also, the Walk Against ICE is nationwide, is on this Saturday, and you can also pledge different. ones. Okay, well, thank you so much. Okay, so Australian anti-ice campaign said tripod system of support works. And cool. Tia says she loves it. One gives me goosebumps all the time. And Tia says, well done for 4 years.
Yes, I've actually heard
again,
that. Thank you.
Oh,
I've actually heard that poem. I've actually read that poem before, and it baffles me. Like, there's so much going on in our society, and this is unfortunately because I've got borderline. My head can't adapt to change. That's something that I struggle with, but I just can't get over how bad it is at the moment in society. And like, people openly talk about mental health and suicide and addiction, and it's like, when they're not doing enough to help people who need the help. Like, so that's why I was happy to jump on board and talk about my story, because, you know, there might be somebody watching this who has borderline and struggles with addiction. May not be ice as an addiction, but, you know, other stuff as addiction. And just know that even though sometimes I say to myself, I feel like I'm still failing and I'm not kicking my goals and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, life keeps kicking me in the guts, but that's because I have a negative personality disorder. That's what the personality disorder does to my head. So, but I've got to look at my achievements, my accomplishments. Like, I've not gone back to a drug to handle my emotional pain from my past. I don't rely on that as a coping mechanism. I actually sit with the discomfort of the emotional pain and the mental health and everything that sits behind it. And yeah, I'll never touch it. I've actually said to my parents, if I commit suicide, you know, I've touched ice. So that's my decision in my head. As much as I struggle with that sort of stuff, yeah, that's my head game strong.
So the 3 things, if you use ice and keep on using ice, where will you end up, Mel?
Dead, jail, or rehab. I don't know. You just won't get anywhere in life. Like, I mean, I haven't worked for a few years, but you know, I have a roof over my head and I have a house and I've got my beautiful cat and my dog who are very healthy. You know, I might be a little bit overweight at the moment, but I'm still alive and I'm healthy and I have food on the table and I can still do things and have fun and not be in addiction at all.
And, you know, you're really inspirational, and every day, just for today, just a small goal, you know, you being 4 years is like a miracle. I remember when I first moved to the Sunshine Coast and I went to my first NA here, and the lady said she was 4 years. And I was like, what? And she's at university. I was thinking, this is like, I could not grasp it. Like, that felt like, you know, there was Robbie Williams next to me.
It's fun me
anyway, know that by sharing your journey, you are helping others lose hope and that recovery is possible.
What I was going to say, it spun me out Friday night when I met. Oh, sorry. What I was going to say, it spun me out Friday night. If some people might know, 360 is an Australian rapper. He has dealt with mental health and addiction majority of his life. And when I went up to him to have my meet and greet and get my signature and my cuddle and a photo, I said, you know, thank you for keeping it real, talking about sobriety and addiction. And he asked what I used to be addicted to, and I told him that I was addicted to ice. And the words was, I've never known someone can stay 4 years off the pipe for that long, especially of how addictive the drug is. So hearing it from a complete stranger who's well known around Australia was just, yeah, that was amazing. So I know that I've kicked the right goals doing what I'm doing.
You're amazing. And thank you so much again. So again, if anyone watching this live, please jump on to www.australianantiicecampaign.org.au or 1-800-NO2-ICE. We have a care team available all around Australia. That is my time. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.